For the construction section of our media project, we used a variety of software to construct the video, digipack and advert. For the video we used Adobe Premiere Pro Creative Cloud. This software was incredibly useful as it allowed us to take the footage that we'd shot and turn it into our final music video with the audio track in the background, and it allowed us to add the desired visual effects we wanted to add to give the video a specific style. Once I learnt the basics of how Premiere Pro worked, I was able to use the software creatively to create the overall music video. The software is made up of a variety of different windows which all have different functions. When creating the project, clips had to be imported into the project folder here on the left hand side, and then our footage could be sorted into folders, also known as bins, which was useful as all of our footage could be organised. To the right of the project folder is the timeline, which is where all the clips are dragged to, and this is where editing of footage can take place. There are two ways clips can be manipulated to be added to the timeline. Firstly, if a clip is double-clicked from the project folder, it will open up in the left side monitor, which is known as the source monitor. From here, I can look through the footage and mark out key points using the M key, which will add a marker. If I decide there is a section of footage that I like the look of and want to use in the timeline, I can scrub through, and using the I and O keys, I can mark in and out points, and then this section of footage can be dragged onto the timeline. The second way clips can be manipulated on the timeline is if they are dragged directly from the project folder onto the timeline itself. After it's been dragged onto the timeline, the length can be changed using the blade tool, which has this icon in the toolbar. With this tool, I can hover over a section of clip and cut the clip at the time marker which I require and split the clip into two parts. This is effective because I can then add footage which is the correct length for the music, or add footage which fits a gap. Overall, however, I prefer to use the in and out marker method for creating the video and then using the blade tool if necessary to shorten clips down in the timeline. The timeline for the video is made up of a number of tracks for both audio and video. The video tracks are these top 6 tracks labelled V1 to 6, and underneath is the audio track which contains an MP3 file of our track for the video. The audio track can be made bigger so the waveform is exposed, which is helpful when identifying beats in the track whilst editing. It also gives a general view of how loud sections of the track are at a glance. The majority of our video layers are footage which has been taken from the camera when we were out filming. However, these two top layers are slightly different. The top layer, which is coloured purple, is a rendered dust and scratches effect which I made in Adobe After Effects, which gives the memory videos a slight effect, and this is the adjustment layer which has been made within Premiere Pro, which allows me to add specific effects from the effects panel onto clips underneath the adjustment layer. When I click on the adjustment layer and open the effects control panel from where the source monitor was at the top of the screen, I can control effects such as the colours, the tint, and also the brightness and contrast of the footage to give the clips which are supposed to be memories a completely different look to the regular clip, which is supposed to be interpreted as memories, to give them a completely different look to regular clips which are supposed to be interpreted in the present day. Once the timeline is finished, I can use the space bar to play the outcome of the timeline in the monitor on the top right of the screen, which is also known as the program monitor. This monitor only plays footage in the timeline, and if there are clips missing in the timeline, this monitor will show the black spaces which need to be filled. As you can see, at the bottom of this monitor there are a few green markers which also correspond to the green markers on the timeline. These markers have been used as guidance so that I know where to place clips when constructing the video. The program monitor and time markers are useful when making the video as they allow me to watch the outcome of the project as I am editing, and also add visual markers of where footage needs to go if I have any black spots or have any footage which needs to be synced up to the audio. This was a brief evaluation of how I used Premiere Pro to make the music video, and overall the software was very easy to use. However, there were a couple of issues which meant construction of the video didn't always go as smoothly as planned. The first issue we had was that we could only make our sequence 720p instead of full 1080p HD, as some of the footage shot on the camera was 720p and it wouldn't look right when upscaled. Because of this, all of the footage which was shot in 1080p had to be downscaled in size first to fit the sequence. This meant that each clip which was edited took longer, as this downscaling needed to be applied first. Finally, some of the videos shot in this evaluation indicated the main issue with Premiere Pro. When constructing the video, there was a significant lag between frames and also a lag between pressing a button on the keyboard and the desired effect happening in the software. Lag was a particular problem which slowed down the overall efficiency of the construction, as it meant that we had to wait for the software before proceeding to the next stage of our construction.